Alright, what's going on, everybody? We are streaming, and I normally stream on Twitch, but today I decided to stream on YouTube, just because, I don't know, I feel like YouTube needs some more love, and the whole purpose of today is I found a box of things. Actually, it was my fiance that found a box of things on what was it, Craigslist, and I decided to. I haven't taken anything out of the box yet, but it's kind of like a pseudo unboxing. I know what's in it, but I kind of want to share with you uh, this experience of me unboxing it for the first time, essentially. And so, what I got was a nice little bundle. It's a Super Famicom bundle from Craigslist. He was super local to me, and it was an extremely good deal. So this is kind of like a unboxing slash pickup video slash also testing. I'm gonna be testing the games, so that's what I'm gonna be doing today. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm super excited about it. I've never owned a Famicom. I've always wanted to, oh, not Famicom. I've always wanted to own a Super Famicom, and I've never owned one. And this one is gonna be, this one's gonna be my baby. So, I just want to show you right now. I've got the box right here. It's fairly big, but it's full of stuff, and I'm excited about the stuff. There's not much else to say about it. I mean, if you open it up here, we'll open it up. See right away, right there. Just got the Super Famicom, some controllers, and a bunch of other stuff. So I'll take things out one by one, show you as I go, and that way we can move on with the testing. We have the Super Famicom from Japan. This one's not the European version, not the PAL version. The main difference between the PAL version, other than the electronics like the voltage and all that stuff, is Super Famicom. The PAL version says Super Nintendo. You got the eject button, reset button, and this power button. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of yellow on top, but I'm going to see if I can't retrowrite it and restore it to its former glory. Super Famicom, we got Nintendo Super Famicom controller. Let's see. Okay, we have a Super Nintendo controller here. And the funny thing about these is, if you've never held them or seen them in person, there's actually a decent, or not decent, but there's a considerable difference between the two. Mostly you can see in its aesthetics. You have the colorful buttons on the Super Famicom, and then you have the shades of purple on the Super Nintendo. Also, if you look closer, I don't know if you can see that, but the shades of gray on the start and select buttons are lighter on the Super Famicom version. See how that's much darker there? As well as the D-pad. And it's not just the lighting. I can switch it up. There's actually a difference. But the cool thing is the shell itself, other than that printed part, the shell is fairly the same. Like if you open this up, I believe that there's indicators on the inside where the buttons go, signifying, oh yeah, blue goes on the X, yellow goes on the B, green on Y, and red on A. If you open this one up, the Super Nintendo one up, it actually says the same exact thing. So that's a cool thing there. They didn't like get a whole new mold to produce entirely different, not entirely different, but a different mold for the same exact shell. I mean, considering these are basically the same controller. Also, if we hold the wires close to each other, like look at where, I don't know if you can see that. This is where the Super Famicom controller ends. The cord is very short versus the Super Nintendo's, as you can see, goes on for another like few meters. I don't know. This is where the Famicom version ends, and this is where the Nintendo version, Super Nintendo version ends, the US version. So much longer cord on the Super Nintendo, the US version. So we got those controllers. We have another Super Famicom controller, another Super Nintendo controller. These are all useful. These have barcodes on them actually, so I don't know where he got them. Oh, it's a price tag. It's about $8. Like, how are you gonna buy something from a store and have it be about $8? I don't know. We have this thing. This is... Oh, it's for this. We have wireless controllers made by Docs. Never heard of them, but they have turbo buttons and they're infrared controllers. They have the Famicom colored buttons. You plug this into both 1 and 2, and you can have a wireless link, so you're not bound by cords. We have... Oh, this is cool. This is an 8-bit DOE wireless receiver. It's a Bluetooth receiver. I think it's supposed to be used with an 8-bit DOE controller, but I believe that since this is a Bluetooth dongle, you can use any Bluetooth controller. So you might be able to use like a Wii controller, Wii remote with it. I'm not sure. And there's no 8-bit DOE controller, so that's weird. So just the dongle. I'm not complaining. Let's see if I can mess around with that. This piece is actually pretty cool. We have the Super Famicom multi-tap, and this one's the Hudson version, made specifically for like Bomberman and Bomberman. I can't think of any other games that do use the multi-tap, like NBA Jam, I guess, which is a game in here, I should say. But the cool thing about this is we got a version in the US as well, but it does not have these cool color coordinated stickers on it. Ours is just a plain 1, 2, 3, 4, or 2, 3, 4, 5. Also, it says Super Famicom up top, whereas the US version only says Super Multi-Tap. And it does not have the logo on it. It just says Super Multi-Tap with the Hudson B. But super excited about this. This is awesome. I love multiplayer games, or more than 2-player games. And that's it for the hardware. Now we're moving on to the software, or quote-unquote software, the games. Alright, it came with 19 games. So we have, this is Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, Classic. And this one, I don't know if I would be able to play. I mean, I've beaten Link to the Past before, but I don't know it well enough to go without the text. And this would be in Japanese, so I wouldn't be able to read it. We have Super Mario Kart. This is a game you can play without knowing Japanese. A super fun one at that. Here's another game that I cannot play without knowing Japanese. Secret of Mana. So this one is I forgot what it's called in Japanese. It's like Senkure Densetsu or something 2. So they had one before this, and this is number 2. But it was released in the US as Secret of Mana. Hold on. Secret of Mana 2. Let's see what it's actually called so I don't butcher it. Seiken Densetsu 2. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. I don't speak Japanese, but that's what it's called. But we got it as Secret of Mana in the US. Some more games. We have Final Fantasy V. It's cool. Some more Square games. Games I cannot play. We have Final Fantasy VI, which came out as Final Fantasy III in the US. This one is Super Mario World Classic. This one is, I don't know. I think might be Super Mario All-Stars. It's another Mario game. We'll find out when we test it. NBA Jam. Like I mentioned earlier, I only know that it was in there because the guy mentioned it. He was like, "Oh yeah, I found NBA Jam and I was looking for it." It was kind of hard for me to find because he took some trips over to Japan to find some of these games. We have Final Fantasy IV. And I think this one was released as Final Fantasy II in the US. Super Metroid. Very great game. And this is a game I know you can play without knowing Japanese. F-Zero. Classic racing game. Oh, cool. Final Fight Guy. So now I don't have to pay $200-300 for a copy of Final Fight Guy. And the funny thing is about this game specifically is Final Fight Guy is essentially just a port of Final Fight 1 on Super Nintendo or Super Famicom. They just added a new character. It's Guy. So I think instead of playing Cody and Hagar, you play Guy and Hagar. Or just Guy. I don't know. But that's a cool one there. We have the other cool one I exclaimed about is Super Castlevania 4. Very timely since it is October. Or currently, if you're watching this while I'm making this video, but I'm making this video in October, and you know Halloween's coming up. Castlevania games are perfect for Halloween, so that's nice. We have Super Street Fighter 2. Super Street Fighter 2. Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I love Street Fighter. I'm just really bad at them. Okay, we have regular Street Fighter 2. So we got all the Street Fighters there, except for Alpha. We have Parodius. So I think this one's Gokujo Parodius. I think that's what it's called. I have this game. I just mixed this one up with, because there's Parodius Da on Famicom and Super Famicom. But there's two other Parodius games. I just don't seem to remember their names specifically because they're in Japanese. Let's see. So this one is the third one. Yeah, this one's called Jikyu Ashaberi Parodius. This one has like a bunch of characters that you can play as. And the cool thing is the weird thing is, it's got one of those boards that has the contacts, like the three different sets of contacts. Unfortunately, I mean, traditionally, the way that I would play Super Famicom games was with a honeybee adapter. I'll pull that out. Or even a Game Genie. So with a Game Genie, you can actually, there's tabs on the inside here. You can cut that out, and then the Super Famicom games will go right into here. And then you can plug it into your Super Nintendo and play it. That's all there is to it. There's also tabs on the Super Nintendo that you can cut as well. But I don't really condone like cutting up the system. I don't really like that. So I'd rather do it to a Game Genie. You can do that. There's also a thing called a honeybee adapter, which is a straight Famicom to Super Famicom adapter that you just plug into your Super Nintendo. Works very well. Yet with those, with the Game Genie and the honeybee adapter, they do not accept games with these three contact ports. Like as you can see here on the Game Genie, they have contacts in the center, but none on the sides. And so the data that's being put out on the sides doesn't get picked up, and so you can't play it on the Super Nintendo. So what you either need to do is get yourself a Super Famicom, or what I did was, this is actually my copy of, I just happen to have it like right next to my Super Nintendo, which is very convenient. But it's the same game, Jikyu Oshaberi Parodius, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. You know, I don't know how to say it to be honest. But I got one of these reproduction carts from Castlevania Games. These are meant specifically for reproductions. They're not original hardware. They just snap together. And what I did was I actually modified it. On the bottom there, I mean, you can probably see like how uneven the cuts are. But I just kind of cut those out so it could fit the contact board. And essentially this one is now in a US cartridge shell. So now I can just plug this directly into the Super Nintendo without having to worry about any sort of Game Genie or honeybee adapter, and it'll play just fine. But now that I actually have a Super Famicom, I don't need to worry about that. So this is kind of redundant now. I can just plug this straight into the Super Famicom, which is great. So we got that. The next games we have, nope, said that one already. Super Bomberman, and that makes sense because he had the Super Famicom multi-tap, or the Super multi-tap. And the US got this game. It was ported. We also got Super Bomberman 2, but the games that we didn't get were Super Bomberman. What was it? I forgot how to count. Super Bomberman 3, 4, and 5. So 3, 4, and 5 were released in Japan, but were not brought over here. And those have more adventure elements. So yeah, I mean, lots of great games. This is the last one here. I'm actually excited about this when I saw it. It's a Super Puyo Puyo. So it's a puzzle game. And if you played, Puyo Puyo Tetris, then you kind of know what Puyo Puyo is. It's a very fun puzzle game. But yeah, I've actually never played one aside from Puyo Puyo Tetris. Like, I know there's Puyo Puyo Fever for GameCube, but I've never played anything older than Puyo Puyo Tetris on Switch. So this one will be a fun one to try out. But those were all the games. There's 19 of them included in the bundle, as well as the 4 controllers, 4 wired controllers, 2 wireless controllers, the Super Famicom multi-tap, and the system itself. Oh wait, there's more in here. Cool. We have, this is actually kind of cool. We have the Final Fantasy V manual, which unfolds into stuff. I don't know. It might be a map of some sort. No, this is just the manual. We have the Secret of Mana manual. And then we have the Proteus manual. So that's cool there. And I'm talking about Proteus a lot. If you don't know what Proteus is, it's actually one of my favorite games for the Super Famicom. It is Gradius. Gradius is a side-scrolling, horizontal shmup made by Konami. But essentially what Proteus did was take characters and themes from other Konami games and just stuck them into a Gradius game. So, for example, I don't know. So right here you have Twinbee, that character right there. I don't know if he has a name, but Twinbee, who has his own separate franchise, makes his way into Gradius, and now you can play as the Twinbee character. You can also play as, of course, Vic Viper, which is right there. In some versions, you can play as Kid Dracula, which is essentially a Castlevania spin-off. But it's really wild and zany. It's got lots of different characters and music in it. But I have a feeling that they didn't bring it over because of licensing issues. Like, they actually use real music in it. But yeah, that was the box. That was the entire box. Came with 2 boxes, actually, so it was a double unboxing. And we got 19 games we're going to clean and we're going to test. And we're going to... Actually, I don't even know if the system works, but we're going to hook up the system, and we're going to see if this works. Now I'm surrounded by games, and we're going to see if they do work. And if they don't work, we're going to hit them with the 1-up card. Right there. This thing is a lifesaver. It's a work of magic. And I'll explain what that is if I need to use it. So we got the Super Famicom. Again, I'm so excited about this. This is incredible. I took a trip to Japan like a year and a half ago, and this was on my list of things to pick up and bring home, and I just never did it. Like, I couldn't find one for a price that I really wanted to. I was in Tokyo and Osaka, and I didn't hit enough stores that had them for a reasonable price. Like, they had them at fair market value, going value, because tourists will come in like me and buy them at $70, $60. I wanted thrift store prices, but thankfully I only had to go like 5 minutes from my house because the guy was selling it there, and he had this, and yeah, I mean, super excited about it. And the story behind this is actually, I was telling him, or I was talking to him, and he said that he was in college and his roommate was from Japan, and he had this, and he had a few games, and when his roommate went back to Japan, he just left it. He was like, here, you can have it. And the guy was like, yeah, sure, I'll take it. And eventually he made his own way to Japan. He found these games. He amassed this small collection. And he still has it today, but he had kids, and he thought his kids would play it, but they don't. So now he sold it. And now it's in my possession. So I'm okay with that. So we'll go ahead and plug it in here. See if it turns on. Let's see if it turns on. Boop. There, we got the light there, so it does turn on. Awesome. Now we'll go ahead and test this one, the one I didn't really know what it was. We'll go in without cleaning the pins. And just so you can do this with me, I've got this. Woo. There we go. So we got a picture, and it's Super Mario Collection. So it is Super Mario All-Stars. Very cool. And the picture is all messed up for you guys. That's fine. You don't need to see the entire picture. I'm just making sure that they do work. Oh, that's cool too. Okay. So there's a difference. They have the Japanese versions of the game on there. So we have Super Mario Bros, of course, Super Mario 2, but in the US version this was called Super Mario Lost Levels. It was on the Famicom Disk System, and they deemed it too hard for US release, and so they never released it in the US until they released Super Mario All-Stars on the US version. This is Super Mario USA, and this is essentially a sprite for sprite, or pixel by pixel copy of a different Japanese game called Doki Doki Panic. They essentially took that game, resprited it with Mario characters, and then they released it here as Super Mario Bros. 2. So on the US version, All-Stars version, it should say Super Mario Bros. 2. We have Super Mario 3, which is not Super Mario Bros. 3, and that is it. So that does work. Let's throw in this game. And we have Final Fantasy IV. Cool. 1992. With save files. So that's a good sign. For those of you who do read Japanese, you can tell me whether or not they actually say anything. Cool. Or like if you know Final Fantasy games well enough, you can probably make your way through the menus, but I don't know if you'll make your way through the actual storyline. Secret of Mana. That worked right away. Ooh, I don't know what that says. Let's hit reset. Try out that other option. Let's probably continue a new game. Alright, so we got save files here. Level 85. You did play this a lot, huh? Cool. I'll go through and hit these with the 1-up card, as soon as I'm done going through them. The pins, these games have been well loved. Well loved. My personal favorite. Huh. Why aren't I running? There. That's enough of that. Got some Street Fighter 2. All these games are working first try. That's awesome. Dun, 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 dun. I suck at Street Fighter. I'm so bad at it, man. It's kind of ridiculous.
Round 1, fight!
Watch me. I've already been knocked out. Oh, I'm about to go. Oh, so bad at that game. All right, let's go with Final Fantasy VI, better known as Final Fantasy 3 here. And aesthetically, like, these carts just, I think they look way better than the US versions. We got save files, level 50. Oh, I'm pushing buttons. Cool. I have to revisit the Final Fantasy games. I haven't played a true JRPG made by Square or a Square IP in a long time. Let's see if that works. No, it's our first game that doesn't work. How exciting is that? How exciting is that? So, because this does not work, means that the pins are either dirty. So that's the first conclusion I'm going to make. And easy way to fix that is clean the pins. What you can do is take a Q-tip with some rubbing alcohol or Windex. I don't know, whatever you prefer to use. I like using rubbing alcohol. And just kind of go over the pins back and forth on a wet side and then a dry side, just to make sure that there's no liquids in the components before you plug it in. Another way you can do it is if you have a 3.8 millimeter security bit, undo these guys, break it open, take an eraser, essentially erase the pins. It should clean it. Fortunately, I have a 1-up card, and this is I got from my buddy Castlemania Games. Check out his store online if you can. It's got a fluid side and a dry side. Take some rubbing alcohol or cleaning alcohol, whatever you want. Put some on the fluid side, just like so. Stick the fluid side inside the cart, like so. And then just go back and forth. Fluid side. Do on the bottom side as well. And you can tell from looking at these pins that this one's been well played. They played this one a lot. Back and forth a few times. Take the dry side that's not saturated in rubbing alcohol, cleaning alcohol, and then you go back and forth. Get it nice and dry, nice and clean. And you'll notice, I don't know if you saw that before, but it's slightly dirtier. And hopefully it should work after this. Hopefully. Going back in. And we have a signal. Look at that. Works like magic. 1-up card. If you don't have one, get yourself one. Like I said, Castlemania Games. Oh, they don't have 150 yet. Go with my boy, DK Jr. Okay. Classic, Link to the Past. Startup screen's always nice. You got save files. Looks like 2 of them have been beaten. Actually, no, they haven't. Because normally if it's beaten, you're wearing different clothes and then there's a giant hole in this pyramid. So he's super close. Oh, I love playing this game on a CRT. Alright, awesome. I really have to play this game again. Okay, Bomberman, let's do this. Work. And it does. Super Bomberman. There's English. What do you know? Oh, misplayed that. Okay, I think that's enough of that. So far, one game has given me trouble, and it wasn't even that much trouble because all it needed was nice little cleaning. Street Fighter 2 Turbo Hyper Fighting, which can be found on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. It's funny, I kind of missed out on buying the Super Nintendo Classic Edition or the Super Famicom Classic Edition from Japan, and I was kind of upset about that. But now, essentially with this purchase, I have myself my own How do you do it? Maybe I don't remember how to play Guile. Oh well. But now with this, I essentially have my own Super Famicom Classic. It's 19 games. You know, I'm only 2 short, but lots of great titles here. Super Street Fighter 2. Super Battle. I thought it was one of these games that allowed you to play as Akuma. I forgot where it was. No. Might be in the US version. I don't know. F-Zero. Time for some Mode 7. And I played this game so much as a kid. Never good at it, but I played it at my cousin's apartment when he was in college. I loved playing this game as a kid. This and Killer Instinct. Okay. You gotta keep moving before, you know, I take up all you guys' time. Okay. 9 hours into this one, wow. Controls are different. Oh. That's weird. Couldn't jump. Okay, some Castlevania. Oh, is this the second game that's not going to work? Give me that Konami start screen. No. Nothing. Going back to the 1-up card. Fluid side first. There's still some fluid on it, so I can just keep using it. Hit it with the dry side. And honestly, that should be enough to get it working. It doesn't take much with the 1-up card. I might go back later and do some more so they're nice and shiny, but it should work now. Come on. There we go. I love the logo of that. Akuma Joe one. It's good enough. All right. We got Final Fight Guy. Sorry, this game or this stream took a lot longer than I anticipated. You know, I didn't think I'd be talking this much, but it's fun. You know, this is what we do when we love games so much. It's another game that doesn't work. You know, we talk about games, and talking about games is, in my opinion, one of the most important things that we can do as a community, or else the passion dies off. You know, if everyone's keeping it to themselves, nobody's talking about it, it no longer becomes relevant. And the reason that people are talking about it, you know, 25, 30 years later, at least for Nintendo products, is the whole reason why we still have a retro gaming community, you know? See how easy that was with the 1-up card? So easy. Final Fight Guy. Yeah, so we got Guy and Hagar. Oh, Mayor Mike. You never wear a shirt. Yeah, I mean, this game is the exact same as Final Fight, just with a new character. And then the last game we have, whoop, I think that's the last game. We have this one, Proteus. And you'll be able to see where it is if it starts up. And it does. Yeah, Jikyo Oshoeri Proteus. Menu dial. Yeah, so we got all these characters. Taco Hiko, Big Viper, Biliao, Hanako, Doetsu, Mimim, Ruda, Ran, Winby, Twinbee, Dentaro, Uda, Mike, and Sue. I'll go with Mike. Gives you your controls. And I think that was the auto and manual for the upgrades. But it's like a cute 'em up. That's the term I was looking for. Cute 'em up. Speed up. Speed up. Oh, the megaphone. It's the best. Oh, got too close to the floor. And that's Proteus. Love this game. But anyway, that's it. That's all I want to show you. Small little unboxing and testing it real quick. I'm going to spend some more time. I won't be doing it on video, but I'm going to spend some more time cleaning up all these games, making them look nice, and yeah, get them ready to either put in my collection or trade off at Portland Retro Gaming Expo. So if you're coming to Portland Retro Gaming Expo, come check me out. I'm going to be at Castlemania Games table where you can pick up some 1-up cards if you'd like. I'm really pushing those because I love them so much. I don't work for them, but anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and check out some of my other videos. I haven't streamed on here for a while, but I got some on Twitch. Check out my pickup videos, other tips and tricks, and we'll see you guys on the next one.